Hmm. Devious cheap tools. Hey Travis. My glasses have become unusable. Let's see if I can smudge them up a little more. Nope, Travis, your first is not first. Daniel, Mike, Miles, Wes, Jim, Ayub, DJ, Kenny. Alright. Oh man, they still have glasses. It's always going to be smudgy. I'm supposed to have a... Oh, there it is. I just saw where my proper stuff was and... Oh, it's too late now. Yeah, that'll do. AI dude. T-dude, sorry. Okay, so we've got the 1707. The only information I have here is that Apple said to replace the main board, which, you know, we're used to hearing that. What is a little bit interesting here is that there's no apparent dust buildup, but I'm gonna go on the idea that perhaps they blew it out. So we're just gonna go test, see what voltages we get when we try to charge, and from there we'll take bets on what it's going to be. 20 volts, 0. Okay, that's probably going to be not... Well, the 0 is a positive thing. That means it's probably going to be a short, so let us hope it is that, because remember, I'm not here for my own entertainment. I'm here to make money. Lots and lots of money, because I have maybe, 10, 15 years of doing this sort of work left in my body. Whoops. And so I've got to make enough to get me through retirement. And then I can do public speaking and inspirational talking and all that sort of jazz. Hey Warren, Wes, I will punch you in the face if that is the case. Definitely do not need that sort of outcome. How dare you? Yes, Apple said what? Oh, and I had fantastic time today with couriers. Oh, sweet goodness gracious, that was an absolute nightmare. The package I was waiting on didn't turn up, but since the courier driver did actually manage to make it here to deliver a different package, I sort of accepted that as a compromise. All they did deliver was this little DVD, and you know, this is what you get for $20. It's pretty... To say it's crap is an understatement, but it's good. Yeah, they say it's good to the 100th millimeter. I say it's probably not much better than maybe 0.2 millimeter. So I may at some point look at trying to improve it by just, you know, remachining some of the parts. But yeah, there's some pretty terrifying bits and pieces here. There's some truly disgusting machining. Anyway, that's what you get for $20. It'll be good enough for what I'm doing for now, and then I'll upgrade later. Did Lewis finish swearing at the New York rush hour traffic? I have no idea. I didn't get to watch it. I had other things to do. Unfortunately, the time that he streams tends to be the time that I've got a lot of emails to answer, phone messages to respond to, things like that. So I don't... Oh, and plus I'm dealing with coffee, dealing with hungry fur kids. So, it's not really the most relaxing time first thing in the morning around here. The other problem with that micrometer is that it has a very gritty feel as you turn the spindles around. like I said, I wouldn't trust it more than about to the 0.2mm mark. Hey, James Ewing and Tony. So we're just going through. I don't know if this is a 928 or a another one that's got a similar combination of numbers. Oh wait, here we go. This 281. Yeah, okay, 281. As we just slowly work our way through all of the disassembly process that is required. I have already done Micro for his insulin injection tonight, so there will be no planned interruptions at this point. Hey, full wave. You may be able to purchase a standard for the micrometer. Yes, I do have various shims that I can use, but quite frankly, I wouldn't even bother other than, yeah, if I paid $250 for the micrometer, then I'd probably starting to expect some quality, but this one at $20, yeah. It's just a little bit better than using a steel ruler and eyeballing it. For me, it's mostly a case of it is a convenient way of measuring some things that I need to measure, you know, with this gap, as opposed to trying to use a ruler. Sometimes you can't get a ruler in where you want, like Russia. Ah, Tony's doing his insulin as well. Oh, very good. How do you know a cat has diabetes? They generally lose weight, but they keep wanting to eat, and it's not worms. Their fur tends to go a bit funny. They're fairly lethargic, but they will have lucid moments where they all of a sudden seem to come good. And they drink a lot. So those symptoms actually share a lot with things like kidney disease, which is also unfortunately very common in cats. It is definitely something you have to get tested. They'll do a blood test and they will do a urine test, and then they will typically recommend a dosage level, and you go from there. That's right, Miles, yes. If you want a precision tool, you're going to have to pay through the nose for it, which is why I didn't really expect anything from this one. I was more than happy with what it's offering. Like I said, it's more a case of being able to take measurements in inconvenient places that I wasn't able to before. Steve K, that would be right, yes, in case, or if a certain wife comes walking in. I should be more specific, my wife. If someone else's wife came walking in, I would be a little bit distressed and confused and be wondering what's happened to my wife. You can't get... I'm not exactly sure which type it is. This one, with micro, it's actually stress-induced diabetes. Now, whether it was the true cause or whether stress just simply made it present itself, I'm not sure. But we do know that stress certainly is a factor for him. Well, veneer calipers from the hardware, they're made out of plastic, but the icing cake was the wheel was made of plastic as well and didn't move. I think I threw away a pair like that. To be fair, those plastic ones can be useful. So we do have some dust under here, so I'm starting to get a suspicion then that someone has actually blown the dust out. Yes, they probably have, because it's all under here, and well, we recognize that area. Yeah. Okay. So this is probably... It doesn't look like the swamp monster, but it's going to be along the same lines, my guess. I always forget to take these. I do put these back on, but while I'm working on the board, they're a bit of a nuisance. Well, it should make people happy. I mean, there's complaints about the number of 1466s. Oh wow, dinner coming back there. Whoops. There's been complaints about the number of 1466s that keep presenting themselves here. So now I'm going to make people complain about the number of 928s or 281s that keep showing up. Again, iPad Face ID Flex be replaced and work? I do not know. You need to ask that sort of question to people like Bill Yommers down in A1 Mobile Repairs in Australia, or if you are overseas, that looks like a cat here. If you are overseas, like in the US, there's Jason Bulmer of SDS, although I don't know if he does much with the iPads. That could be a shorted cap. But yeah, it's not my domain, unfortunately. What happened to the last board you worked on last night? What was the last board I worked on last night? You'll have to remind me. I think I was too tired or something, wasn't I? Or was that the night before? Because we certainly did a lot of work on that 1706 with the 928 board, I think it was. Not 928, 289 board. So we're actually looking for a short somewhere. It may be on the peripheral ends, on the chicken wings, but given that we're getting 20 volts and no current, it really could be anywhere. So we know our CD3215s or whatever are doing the job. Okay, I mean, yeah, we've got some junk here. But the point is we're getting 20 volts, so that puts them in the clear. Hey, Jim Allen. Pedro, thank you for recanting. It would be funny if it was something like that, though. There's that one there. So as you can see, this is pretty signature style type damage. Nowhere near to the level that we had with the Swamp Monster or others. But I'm going to check any of these caps that look a little shonky and see if any of them beep up. It had, oh, the flickering, right. The board itself was fine, but I haven't had a chance to test the screen. Because I basically need to take the bezel off the screen and find out if there's junk happening behind the bezel. I would probably replace these caps. I feel like they're a bit risky. There's our short. Probably that one. You know what? I don't really know if it is that, but we're at the janitor phase at the moment, so we're just going to pick things that look gnarly. And that looks gnarly. Of course, just because I tested that capacitor doesn't mean it's that capacitor. It can be anything on that rail. But for now, I'm going to try and see if it's the capacitor because it's statistically and visually a possibility. I could be completely wrong. Could be a MOSFET or anything, but we'll see. And we don't have a short anymore. Could that be one of the cleanest, quickest board repairs I've done in a while? I'm not sure. Let us check though that it wasn't just a case of maybe I was a little impatient and maybe it was just a charging up rail. I think I was impatient. Yeah, I think I was impatient. I don't think that rail was actually ever shorted. Still, we're going to replace that cap, because that cap is not shorted. That rail is not shorted. That is not the reason why the board is upset. But you gotta admit, that's a pretty nasty looking cap. Yeah, so I kind of jumped the gun there. That was just simply a case of the rail was not charged up. It's kind of like these are gnarly, but they're not shorted. That's a little more suspicious though. And that's a very hard short there. What I find a little bit perplexing is that with my multimeter, if I join the leads together, I get about a 0.3, 0.4 ohm. But when I find a short, it sometimes drops to 0.1, 0.2. I'm not rightly sure why that is. I'm sure there is a technical real reason, but I don't know why. It's just a little bit perplexing. Okay, so 281 schematics. And let's see, we are down here, and this is 3v3S4 system on a chip PMOC. Okay. Well, Steve, to be honest, you know, I mean, I'm more than happy that I actually managed to fix the previous boards, but, yeah, they certainly took a lot longer than I desired. Alright, so, actually looking down here, there could be shorty shorts here. There's a bit of junk in there. Don't think, yeah, a couple of those resistors, 0 ohm resistors, are a bit dirty looking, but they're not too bad. I'm kind of half tempted to think that there is shorted. That one needs replacing anyway. Yeah. Oh, sorry, thanks folks. There we go. So could it be some kind of inductance mix? I really don't know. I really don't know. Hey Jason. All I know is it's a little weird. Okay, so I'm gonna try, you know what? It's a bit too tricky to try to get the hot air through that little gap there. So we're gonna pickle that cap, the cap ends. Although it's been rather disinclined to get pickled. This is one of the few instances where a pair of a pair of tweezers, you know, soldering tweezers could be useful. Beyond that, I don't have a lot of call for them. Like I said, in theory they're a great idea, but in reality they tend not to play out so well. I do believe it's Jess's method, that's the flick method. Okay, so it wasn't that. Alright, so we've got a bit of fun. 3v3S4. We could probably safely put 1 volt on there and find it using thermal camera. I'm hoping that it's not going to be the berkelium chip, which is this thing here. So I say we just sort of, because I can't really find anything directly obvious at the moment. There's a bunch of caps on the other side. We'll have a look. Oh, I found it. There we go. That's it right there. And it has really, really crapped the bed. That's a real bed crapper. The only trouble is, Mike, with that concept is that you should not be able to produce a resistance lower than the contact points of the probes, because the probes are always going to be in circuit. So theoretically, probe end to probe end you can't eliminate that part of the series resistance. So it doesn't matter if you have an absolutely zero resistance between them, they still can't be ultimately less than just the probes together. But yeah, anyway, that's a bed crapper. So we're going to get rid of that, and that's our fault. But while I am here, I am going to fix up those other caps that look like trash, because otherwise they will come back. Yeah, that one really went to town. And we no longer have a short. Let's double check on the other side as well, just to make sure we are on the same circuit, and we do not have a short. Excellent. I know Ohm's law never changes, but do you understand what I mean though? Look, let's do the Big Clive style of data presentation here as to why of course now I don't have a piece of paper. That's okay, we'll use the back of this. Okay. Alright, so we have probe 1 here, probe 2 here. Now when those are together, I get about 0.4. That's on average. Okay, that's a bit fine, that one, isn't it? And what I'm saying is that the contact resistance here is going to be part of that 0.4 circuit. So you should always have the 0.4. So it doesn't matter what sort of crazy resistor network you have here in parallel. R series equals R1 plus R2 to Rn. And so whatever this resistance is, again, okay, so you might say, okay, what about R parallel? So you go RP equals 1 on R1 plus R2 Rn. But it's always just going to approach 0, but it's never actually going to get to 0, which means no matter what you add in there, it can never, in theory, exceed, be less than 0.4, unless you somehow have a resistor across, on the outside beyond those 2 points, in which case then yes, your point would have valid, it would be a potentially valid situation. So yeah, okay, maybe there's something going on back in the system itself, I don't know. But if it was smart enough to have that sort of auto trimming or scaling, things like that, then it should be smart enough to eliminate the lead resistance in the first place. So, yeah, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Come up with your theory as to why it may drop. What if you parallel with a 0.2? Look, if the trouble is you have to get the parallel outside of the probe contact points. That's the problem. So like when you join these, like more to the point, if I do this, okay, now that's, okay, so it's like 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. That there, by contacting together like that, should actually provide a lower resistance than when you contact apart right on the very tips, because you have to factor in the resistance of the probe tips as well. Anyway, like I say, it's just weird. It's obviously something in there, but I'm just kind of curious as to what it is. But it can't be what's between, unless the items between the probes actually have stored energy of their own. But it's just interesting that it tends to actually always be 0, or like I will get negative resistance and it will creep up. But I don't know, maybe it's an asymptotic thing. As it approaches the probe natural resistance or default resistance, it can't bleed it off anymore. I don't know. Probably something Dave Jones would be able to tell me. Yeah, you can have different metal bimetallic combinations will produce a certain amount of voltage or energy. There's many possible things. Anyway, I need to find out what that resistor was, the bed one. And the bed resistor is, oh, frick me, 15 microfarads, 6.3. Okay, so that's an iPhone cap. Now, personally, I prefer not to have to keep using iPhone boards for this, but I would much rather just buy a reel of them. But I don't think you can really find 15 microfarad resistors around, capacitors around. If you did find a 15 microfarad resistor, that would be an interesting device. They're blazing. Okay, so we've got an iPhone 6 schematics here. And let's see. I need my iPhone holders. The only downside of having organized everything very nicely is that when I do want a particular device, I have to get up out of my chair, walk over to the organization shelf, take the device that I need out of the organization shelf, put it down on the bench, blah blah blah. Yeah, it can't just be everything all around me in one hit. I have to accept the reality that I now have to do certain things a little bit slower than they were before. let me guess, I've already stripped them all out on this one. Probably have by the looks of it. I don't think these ones might be 15. I'll check. No, you're a 10. Okay, so the 06. Yep, I've already snaveled that one. 611. Oh, 611 maybe. Nope, snaveled that. Snaveled that one up. 613. Hmm. 613. You're not even there. You're a no stuff. 614. No, that's gone. 33's gone. Yeah, I think I've taken them all out of this one. 630. Oh, wait. Wait, no, we got a winner. That one there is 634. Our B-Dog, yeah, I pretty much always have talked to myself. Maybe not out loud though, but then again, we all do that. We all talk to ourselves in our head, in a monologue. Well, I shouldn't say all. A lot of people do. Squeaky. Try not to lose this capacitor. I'm also trying to minimize on the amount of flux I'm using. Just hope, though maybe it would be a good idea to just put this through a full ultrasonic path. That's not sitting right. The rest of them look all pretty good. So now we have to replace that itty bitty one that we took out, and I think we should replace that one there because it's got a little bit too much corrosion on the end of it. I'll touch up those 0 ohm resistors. And we'll replace that cap, of course, and that one there is probably okay, yeah, but this one here definitely needs replacing. Okay, so first we've got to find this itty bitty one. I don't know if we'll get any cat activity tonight. Sort of trying to plow through this. Okay, so our itty bitty one is a 100 nanofarad 6.3201. Okay, so that fortunately is a nice little jelly bean cap. So we'll just get our box of jelly beans. I'm not rightly sure where the term jelly bean part came from, but generally we use it to refer to a sort of part that's so common, so standard, it's just like a generic thing. Like, yeah, that's just fundamentally what it comes down to. 10k resistor, 1k resistor, 1 microfarad cap, things like that. Just run-of-the-mill standard parts. Stuff that you can get anywhere. Stuff that Apple doesn't want to actually use. Yeah, it's on. I think Jason Vilma would have been proud of that one. Alita's going to be busy trying to dominate 7 Days to Die, and then I've got to try and survive Horde Night after this. I kind of wasted my resources building a stupid outdoor underground bunker. It's only my second Horde Night ever. I survived the first one, but there's no guarantees I'm going to survive the next one. At least this time I'll remember to turn off my helmet torch. Because I was wondering why they were finding me so easy on the first night. And it was because my helmet torch was on the whole time. Days is another game that I was considering getting, just simply because of the fact that it's hardcore mode by default. Okay, so that particular part is 4461. And it's a 16 volt 100 nanofarad. Well, fortunately it just happens to be that I am just using 16 volt 100 nanofarad anyway. So it's going to come from exactly the same strip that I just used on the other one. Did my little part fall out then? No. There it is. Hey Christos, use thermal camera to find the hidden PD. I might wait till it's on special, Travis. It's a little bit expensive at the moment, considering I'm not a big gamer. I guess the only question I have is, even though it's hardcore mode, if you're just playing on your own machine, are you actually able to pause it? Yeah, so if you got to go to... You obviously don't want to do it all in one sitting, surely. If they demand that, then that's kind of like super hardcore mode. You can never be too prepared for an alien invasion, that's right. You got to make sure you have a good supply of viruses on hand to give to Jeff Goldblum. Mother fricker. Okay, so we've tombstoned apart. That's always fun. Particularly too because I don't know whether it's tombstone because it got the solder melted or a tombstone because I ripped the end off. Looks like it got melted. Hello Aiden, welcome. Tell you what, I miss the old days where I used to get 400 or 500 viewers, but I think most of them were just bots. And so what's happened is now that I've got the requirement you had to be subscribed to be able to chat. Mind you, that doesn't change the viewership, but anyway. I think it just alienates the bots. Oh yeah, you gotta have the spare spaceship to get to the mothership, that's right. I haven't actually watched Independence Day, the second one, and I don't care to. Okay, let's see, so this one here is a 10 microfarad 6.3, and it's a 402 size, so... .402. What do we want? 10 microfarad. 6.3. Right, I've got 10 microfarad, 10 volts. And I can use that if I need to, but I would have preferred a 6.3. 1 microfarad 6.3, yeah, no. 10 microfarad 6.3. The reason why I would prefer in this scenario to have the proper voltage rating is because these caps, okay, look, I don't know exactly if it, wow, I've used a few of them. Fairly sure they're the LDO caps. And when you have low dropout regulators and you have the capacitors used to maintain them, if the ESR of the cap is too low, you can get some undesirable behaviors. And as you go up in voltage on a cap for everything else held constant, you typically increase your ESR. So that's why we're going for the same match in this particular instance. Ooh, you're gnarly looking too. Gonna get rid of you. I think that's a 0.1 as well. This is the Thunderbolt ROM. And that's it's a 1 microfarad 402 6.3. And I just went past that packet before. Yep, there we go. The resistor looks like that really more just needs a bit of a clean up. That will be okay, but good spotting. But the capacitor looks a little worse for wear than the resistor in this case. The other thing is resistors, because they got a much simpler structure than MLCs, they don't tend to suffer failures in the same way, of course, that the MLCs do. But yeah, the capacitors are like a giant stack of ceramic dinner plates, whereas the resistors are just, well, they're just resistors. You just don't want to be a balanced... that's better. Obviously I could be just taking these parts from donor boards, but for these jelly bean type parts I do prefer to have the actual fresh new replacements. Particularly for capacitors. So we're just going to touch the end of that resistor. Yeah, that looks good. Alright, so we've got this one to go. So even though we ended up with just one shorted capacitor, which we could have easily, we just replace that and walk away, we're trying to prevent future faults here. And of course, when we ultrasonic the board, we'll hopefully remove the bulk of the potential future corrosion that may be still present here. I do this cap so many times, and yet every time I forget. 2.2 25 volt, that's right. Actually, Christian, that reminds me, I really do need to update that page. Add some more items to it, update other items, etc. Now I hope with all of my not so modest blabbering that this actually does boot. There we go. Nice clean replacement. Yeah, it's certainly going to want to swim in the ultrasonic. Okay, let's see if we get something better than 20 volts this time. Actually, the board's too hot. Tranquil, sometimes it just won't show up, unfortunately. Do you have an infrared camera? Or are you using things like IPA or freeze spray? Okay. Okay, so 20 volts, 300, 1.4 amps. Yeah, that's booting very quickly, actually. Yeah, this is turbo cool technology, not the inferior rapid cool. Do you remember when Lewis tested that American-made hot air station, the one that looked like it was actually from steampunk. Well, that's basically how you need to look at that cooling solution. Yeah, his rapid cool compared to, say, my turbo cool, which is more akin to being a modern day Alton or Quick 861, whereas his cooling system is more like that antiquated steampunk hot air station. 1248. I'll be getting my solar in less than a week now. That's going to be very exciting. If I was a cheap, nasty shop cutting down to my every last cent and dollar, I wouldn't bother ultrasonicking this board. But I'm not. Instead, I'm a money-making, high-quality cough. I do actually try to do my best with all jobs, because they are a representation. Well, yeah, they're kind of like your business calling card when you're not there. And so if you leave behind shonky work, then that's the impression that's going to be left. Just like the fact that I've snared the Wi-Fi cables yet again. Surprise, flippin' surprise, Mr. Daniels. I think that's the other reason why everybody quite enjoys things like the 1466 boards, because getting them in and out of the chassis is such a trivial process compared to this stuff. No, I've not swapped that one over. I'm just annoyed though, I must say, that I didn't get to ask the person what they would like me to do with that screen. Now I could take the initiative and split the bezel off, but I'm also wary of the universe and get the feeling that if I do that, I will crack the screen or something dumb, and then they will declare that I actually broke the screen and I'm trying to make up excuses as to why they should have to foot the bill for it. Whereas if I can say, look, it's flickering, it's probably going to need a new screen, but we can have a look at this option as an alternative if you're interested with these potential risks. And they'll either go yes or they'll go no. But at least then they are aware of what's going to happen prior to me commencing with that job. Now, it wouldn't matter if the fact I've got video footage of what it's doing. That's irrelevant. Hey Adrian Giebel, your 1502 is still going strong, that's good. Glad to hear about that. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you have it on video, because videos can be faked. But if you ask them prior to the event, of course I could fake it and simply say, pretend as though I had not yet taken that initiative, and then come back and shake my head and go, I just didn't make it, I'm sorry. That would be lying through my backside. And it looks like we, in fact, are fixed. So we're done. We have another saved A1707. I gotta say, it's much nicer to get these kind of successes rather than those very frustrating 01700 boards where they just eat their SSDs and completely destroy a very expensive piece of equipment. Okay, that's that one. And that took us 1 hour. A whole hour of me yabbering away. What an excruciating experience. Travis, if I had a cracked PCH, you would end up with a cracked face. We do not accept that kind of negativity around here. So no new board required indeed. In fact, compared to the boards that we've been dealing with the last week or two, this was in fact one of the simplest, cleanest ones to repair. So definitely no Apple let's replace the main board situation required. Alright then, well that's it for me tonight. I am having a bit of an early one. It's, mind you, when I say early, it's 11:45. So I'm out of here. I'll see you probably tomorrow. Until then, you'll take care. I'll catch you later.